All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Going to be touching on my favorite bets here for the Travelers Championship. As you guys hopefully know, coming in off of a very, very solid U.S. Open where we were able to hit Rory 11-1 for the first round lead. That was chopped down from 22-1. Able to hit Hideki top 10, 3.2-1. Tommy Fleetwood top 20, 1.4-1. Corey Connors made cut. The made cut parlay, a Billy Horschel, Aaron Rai, Adam Svensson. That was great. And then also Bryson. That was kind of the easier bet. Outright wise, honestly, I don't know if we're going to get like a easier number bet than Bryson for the rest of the season at 20-1. That was kind of one where you couldn't pass up on it. If we had shorter odds, maybe you would have thought about not betting him, but that was nice that we were able to get him at 21. So a very good week last week. Hopefully we can continue that this week. It's been a nice run over the past few months now, betting wise. And so hopefully that continues today or this week for the Travelers Championship. And so I do want to start out with kind of looking at which golfers are going to be the best outright bets per the outright tag. Again, the outright tag is looking at the top golfers that are like in the 80th percentile. They're going to be most likely to win. Now, the only issue that we have this week is that's going to be a no-cut event, so it's naturally pulling in more golfers. So we really only need to look at this section in terms of what the data says based off of the historical data tells us are going to be good outright bets. And obviously the top three golfers are in the field are going to be there, Rory, Xander, and Scotty, but Rory did withdraw. I don't really have a hot take on that. Kind of good for him. I will say I guess I do have a slight hot take on Rory. This was it. It was that people were bashing Rory for kind of leaving the tournament and withdrawing this week. At the same time, that same media was the media that made up that rumor about him and Amanda like dating or doing things together and whatnot, like completely made that up. So at the same time, like you don't really blame Rory for, having that heartbreak, both literally with his divorce and whatnot, then the media spewing this complete lie and then him not wanting to give that media more clicks. Like it does make sense. But yes, Rory's not in the field, so that does kind of make our betting week much easier, I would say, even though we are going to get some reduced odds. And so with that, again, we probably don't need to go off this board too much. So let's go ahead and jump into which golfers I think are going to be the top outright bets this week. And start with kind of some longer shot odds and work our way down. So the first outright bet that I'm going to like and recommend for you guys is actually going to be Corey Connors. Again, we're starting from longest odds to shortest odds. So Corey Connors does make a lot of sense. Does kind of suck, unfortunately, that yesterday he was about 45-1 on some sites, 40-1 on some sites. You can still get him at 40-1 on Bovada if you guys are some that bets on Bovada. But if you're betting on, some of the normal sites, you're probably looking at 35-1, which is fine. Those are still going to be good odds. And I do think Rory withdrawing from this event does, it's going to hurt some players, and I think that's what we're seeing here with Corey Connors. And so when we look at a golfer like Corey Connors, he is someone that is really going to be popping this week like he has been every single week, and that's because he has just been playing great golf. You look at his past two starts now, 9th, 20th, 6th, 26th, 13th, 11th, and a lot of those starts were on courses that you typically would not think would be good Corey Connors tracks. You tack on the fact that Corey Connors finished 10th at this event last year, that's great. You look at the specialist data, which is pulling in all your unique characteristics for that week's tournament, ranks out top 10 there. Stat fit wise, elite, okay? A little bit worried in the effective scoring, which is that 9-5 stat data point where we're kind of just measuring both safety and upside. But other than that, second best in the field in ball striking, top 12 in total driving, and then that effective birdie to bogey ratio, which is a measure of bogey avoidance and birdie to bogey ratio. He ranks out third in the field there. So really just across the board, going to be an elite option. The one worry data point wise is that he missed the cut at this event in the COVID year in 2020. So we don't really care about that as well. So yeah, he's just coming in checking all the boxes. To me, this is kind of more of an easy bet that we are getting this week, especially in a reduced field, especially in an event where last week was kind of a grind for a lot of people. Now, Connors was never truly in contention to win. He was just kind of playing with bonus golf, I guess, if you will, free money, if you will, last week, where in a way that's less stressful than maybe someone like Tony Finau who felt like he could win, or Patrick Cantlay for say, who potentially felt like they could win. So another golfer that I like this week to win is going to be Russell Henley. You can get him at 28-1, which to me are going to be some great odds because we look at Russell Henley as a play this week. He's one that really pops. Coming in checking all the boxes. I mean, he's a top 8 specialist, 8th best course history rank, 6th best in recent form, 11th best stat fit. I mean, just across the board, his game sets up extremely well for this track. Course history-wise, top 20 place finish last year. 2 years prior to that, top 20 finish as well. So good stuff there from him. He ranks out 3rd in the field in that effective scoring stat. Total driving and ball striking could be a little bit better, but he is typically a more accurate golfer. He's not going to make many mistakes. He's going to take advantage of a lot of opportunities are there for him. ranking out 16th in that effective birdie to bogey ratio. He has shown upside recently, finishing top 10 at the PGA Championship and has multiple top 10 finishes over his past 9 starts, which we like to see. He just needs to pop slightly more, which in this limited field event where I do think there could be some potential major hangovers, Russell Henley is someone whose game just sets up extremely well this weekend. So that's going to be an easy click for me this week. Now, like Hideki and kind of Tommy Fleetwood last week, where I felt like they would maybe find themselves in contention, but I wouldn't think that they would actually win. You could argue that with Russell Henley and Corey Connors a little bit, but I do think there's a path where they're more likely to win. But let's try to find some better bets. Like for them, obviously it's going to be a reduced field, so maybe top 20, maybe a top 20 parlay with those two. I wouldn't really mind. Like for Russell Henley, it's going to be about 0.83 to 1 for him to top 20. And then you pair that up with Corey Connors, about 1.1 to 1 to top 20. And so let's say you maybe wanted to place that bet like a parlay. You bet 1 unit, you would get back 3.85 units. So that's going to be plus 285 there for that bet. Now, another bet that I think you could potentially run out as well would actually be a top 40 bet. And that's going to be with Andrew Putnam at minus 120. So you add that on there, and that's going to pay about 7 to 1, which is going to be a good payout. Now, let's talk about that. Now, those first 2 bets, Henley and Corey Connors, those are 2 bets that we're seemingly kind of being forced into betting because they are projected to do a lot better than what the market is kind of predicting for them. So, those we just are kind of having to make. Maybe not unfortunately, but we just kind of have to. When we look at Andrew Putnam as a play, though, he is someone that does really stand out as a play this week for like a top 40 bet. So at this course last year and the year prior to that, finished 43rd and 46th. And some of you guys are probably thinking, well, that's not a top 40 finish. That was a full tournament field event. This event is going to be a no-cut event. Andrew Putnam has been playing some of the better golf on the PGA Tour this season. Lately has not been as good, though. That is going to be the worry, is that he has kind of maybe lost his game. At the same time, those more recent events, not exactly courses that fit his game. So I do expect him to be able to bounce back well this week and have a good week. And so when you look at recent form, that's probably the biggest worry. But course history-wise, still ranks out top 15. Stat fit-wise, about 43rd. Specialist, about 53. So it's not a lock and load bet, but we are getting a decent edge there, I would say, in this event. And I don't see him being someone that's going to like give up if he doesn't have his A game or B game. Like I think he's going to grind through and give us a top 40 finish. So that's kind of my favorite placement bets for this week. Let's go ahead and close it out with some outright bets. And as I jump into that, I do maybe want to provide some caution for people that are trying to bet on Patrick Cantlay per se, because to me, I've seen an interesting narrative that has been going on with Patrick Cantlay. People are wanting to bet on Patrick Cantlay because of his elite course history and because he found something in his game last week. Let's point to the start about recent form number 6. His event after that was a 23rd place finish. And I'm not saying that Patrick Cantlay can't win. I'm not saying that he didn't find his swing. But who did we just recently do this with? It was Victor Hovland, who then finished 15th and missed the cut. So let's proceed with caution there. Just because someone found their swing does not mean you have to bet on them. Like for me personally, I will always just bet on someone that has been playing great golf and is already looking like a great stat fit. And that'd be Aubert here. And you can get him at 14 to 1. To me, those are some pretty good odds. To me, those are almost too good of odds to pass up on him this week. Stat fit wise, going to be just as good of a stat fit as he was last week. In terms of all the key metrics that we look at, he ranks out top 10 or better, which is always elite. We love to see that. And he also has made a start here at this track, which is huge, finishing 27th last year. This might have been his first start in the PGA Tour. And you guys know the thing with him is he has been playing such elite golf this season without having much course experience at any of these tracks. And so the fact that he does and played well last year, to me, that's highly encouraging. 4th best stat fit, 8th best recent form. That course history from last year would have him rank out top 10 in course history rank, top 4 specialist, top 4 in the 905 mile. To get him at 14 to 1 with Rory out, I think that's pretty huge as well. So that's going to be an easy bet for me. I could do Colin Morikawa and I could do Hideki, still on the fence with those two. But the one bet that I know I'm going to do is going to be Xander. You guys probably could have guessed that. Xander has just been playing way too well this season. We can get him at 7.5 to 1, which I would argue, given the fact that we have Rory out now, is still too low. He probably should be like 4 to 1, but maybe then people won't bet him because they don't like betting Xander. People do not like to bet Xander. Guys, Xander was terrible last week. Terrible. And guess what? He finished top 10 still. He could not hit a fairway. Heck, if you take away the first 2 holes and turn those into pars, he probably wins the U.S. Open. So struggled on a couple of holes. Didn't have his A game, that's for sure. You don't expect that to continue, though. Just really could not find the fairway, especially in the first round. Again, don't expect that to continue. When we look at his data profile here, what's the worst stat? Recent form number 5, where he finished 23rd. So that's pretty good. 4th best in course history rank with a 20th, 1st, and 20th. Key stat wise, top 4 better than all the key stats that we're looking at, coming in as the best stat fit, 2nd best in recent form, 3rd best specialist, number 1 pick in the 9-to-5 model as well this week, slightly beating out Scotty because Scotty's coming in off of a rough week last week, and Xander obviously finished top 10. But again, that's why that's going to be an easy bet for me this week. And then lastly, let's jump into some first round leader bets that we can do. So obviously this week we are not getting big AM PM splits, I would say. And so I don't know if we exactly need to go in on the AM PM split too much. So let's just sort of by first round leader rank and we can just go from there. So by now you guys probably know what I like to do is just do the top 7 and just bet on those guys that have the first round lead. So that would be Fleetwood, Hideki, Connor, Scotty, Xander. And so those would be my favorite first round leader bets. I guess we're missing, Rory. Rory would be the one that we're missing. He'd be 3rd. So we can put in Aubert there as well. The nice thing about this is every single week over the past 2 months, we've had someone finish first or runner up to the first round lead. Again, with Rory winning the first round lead last week. If you look at last week as well, 3 out of the 4 rounds, we had the low round golfer as well in terms of the top 7, in terms of the top 5% there as well. So I'd be happy to run out these bets. Aubert at 21 feels good. Tommy Fleetwood, does he have it in him to have the first round lead? Maybe. I don't agree with that. Maybe that's just more of a placement bet for him to finish top 10 there, first round lead wise. Kyle Morikawa fine with that. Hideki, Connors, Scotty, and Xander definitely happy to do that there as well. And then lastly, just showing you guys the best EV bets that we are currently getting for this week. A lot of them are going to be top 20 bets. Robert McIntyre. So if you're looking to bet on him, you can get a good line. I'm in DraftKings, PointsBet, and FanDuel. Same thing with Cameron Young to top 20. That seems to be the case, is that where we are getting our biggest edge typically are going to be in those top 20 bets, especially compared to their average. If you're looking at more of just the American markets, we can sort by that. FanDuel, PointsBet, DraftKings, and then let's do Bet36 or BetMGM. Outright wise, we'll show you guys that. Colin Morikawa, best bet would be on PointsBet and FanDuel. Don't mind that. So I mentioned he'd be someone I might be betting on. That'd be where you want to do that. In terms of top 10 bets, basically more of the same compared to the top 20 bets. So no real takes there. Just wanted to give you guys that information. So if you guys want access to that data that you saw, you can head on over to the pricing and plans part of the 9to5 website. Click select. That'll give you access to the 9to5 membership for just $10 a month. Gives you access to all the tools that you need and more. Remember, all the tools that you see on the 9to5 website are already curated for you to give you guys the best edge daily and weekly. You guys will get access to all the tools that you see available here. And if you guys want to, you can sign up to get the weekly tournament write-up at the bottom corner here. But that's going to be all for today's video. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. That does really help out. Let us know what your favorite outright bet is if I missed on one as well. But that's going to be all for today's video. Good luck this week. And as always, let's keep cashing.